I'm gonna have to.
There you go. I can't not notice that obnoxious computer sound.
Good, thank you. All right, I'm gonna start over. Welcome everyone to tonight's Hook Up with Real Estate course, masterclass. I'm sorry. And we have a very special guest tonight, John Laine, who's going to share his foreclosure bailout system. And I will give him an introduction a little bit more in a minute. I'm about to share my screen and just do the whole welcome scenario. And then we'll get started. We'll see who. All right, I am going to try to share my screen. Slideshow from the current slide. Okay. So, as I said, welcome everyone. Tonight is July 26th, and we're going to be talking about the foreclosure bailout. My name is Donna Hook. My husband is Ken Hook. We're your co-hosts for this evening with our very special guest, John Laine. And I do have to make a disclaimer. You can read the whole thing here, but basically we're here to provide education. It's not intended as legal, financial, or investment advice. So we encourage you to consult your professional. Your participation is at your own risk. We're not liable. And by attending, you consent to potential recordings and understand that the internet security is not absolute. So remember to seek professional advice before making any real estate decisions. I did want to point out that we do have a YouTube channel, and you can see it here on the screen, and in a few minutes Ken will put up a chat with the links. It's at Hook Up with Real Estate. We also have a Facebook group page called Hook Up with Real Estate, so you can stay connected there. I'm very excited that I wrote a chapter in a book called Real Women in Real Estate, and it's launching in just a couple of days on 8/1. Right now, it can be pre-ordered on Amazon for $2.99. It's called, and we'll talk about that another day. I also am a public speaking coach, so I help people really overcome their fear of public speaking. I can help people refine their story, do speech prep, pitch deck prep, and I have a framework that I've developed called the A2F framework for effective public speaking. And there's a few links here, which Ken will put in the chat. So lastly, we want to thank you for being here. And if you'd like to have be notified, through email, you can ding us, either put it here in the chat, or you can put your name, email, and phone to one of our LinkedIn pages. You're best off connecting to me because I do look at LinkedIn more than my husband. So that is the end of this presentation. I will welcome page. I will introduce John now. So John is going to share how he ascended from a decade of demise, including a $77 million real estate loss in the wake of 2008 real estate crash and a near-death diagnosis, to become what is known as the compassionate capitalist. He now focuses his energies on creating innovative strategies to assist homeowners facing foreclosure to stay in their homes, while offering real estate investors opportunities to generate income. This empowering talk promises to inspire you as well as to educate all attendees. Please let me welcome John Laine.
Hi, Donna. Thank you so much. Ken, I'm genuinely delighted to be here. I appreciate your time. I appreciate just our friendship, right? We've been growing this friendship over the last couple, I don't know, a month and a half now, and it just seems like we're old friends now. It's kind of cool. I like it. So thank you for that warm introduction. I appreciate it. is it okay? What do you usually do? Can I just go ahead and start my presentation? Do you want more backstory? What are you looking for?
You can start and fill in the blanks as you go. And if you don't mind, are you okay if we ask questions along the way?
I was going to say that. Yeah, let me get started. And the very first slide is ask questions.
Oh, good.
Yeah, let's see. Let me make this a little bigger. And one more button. It's not as easy as.
It looks okay here.
Does it? Because I'm
Mhm.
only seeing part of it. Let me do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that one. Yeah, that's good right there.
That better? Okay.
Yeah, you can see everything. Yeah.
All right. So my name is John Laine. Let's start with that. We're going to talk about compassionate capitalism, also known as foreclosure bailout system. You can reach me pretty easily. I am at john@greencottagehomes.com. Pretty easy to get. I've got a couple of websites, but I'd rather just email me direct. Okay, so I come with this premise of as long as the bank controls your asset, you do not. Like that's a very profound statement. We're all real estate investors or aspiring real estate investors. Some of us have 1, 10, 200, 1,000, 10,000 doors under management. But if you really think about it, you're privileged to be managing it for the bank. As long as the bank has control over that asset, you in fact do not. And I bring this up because I lost $77 million worth of assets. I ended up with I made the wrong decision. I had about 429 doors under management. This is well before syndication was popular. So they were mostly my properties and my business partners. And we lost an enormous sum of money. And this is kind of the foundation of everything that I've been working on ever since. Here's our kind of the process that we're going to go through. I'm going to give you a couple of predictions. I'm going to give you my story. We're going to talk about compassionate capitalism, the math behind it and how it works, various marketing, what happens when things go wrong. I am in no way selling a guru course, just to be really clear up front. Some people are like, oh God, another guy selling something. I am not selling anything. So just to be really clear. And then ask questions all through this process. Clear?
Clear.
Clear.
All right, cool. So my prediction, this is what's happening in the market, right? This is 2008, 2009, 2010. You're looking at 500,800,000 foreclosures through this period. It's been steadily going down. As interest rates have been coming down, so have foreclosures. There's been a correlation in that. This was COVID, right? Everybody knows that there was a moratorium on foreclosures. This is happening now. Last quarter, there were 95,000 foreclosures, right? My expectation, this is kind of the benchmark, 2 to 3 to 400,000 foreclosures in the US is pretty common. That's just the market that we're normally in. We're at this super low peak right now. The average day on market or the average days in a foreclosure is 950 days, right? So that kind of tracks in with this spike. So all of those people that were in default 3 years ago, the government just said, we're going to pause all of that. And now that's coming, those properties are coming out of protection and they're going to default at an alarming rate. Okay, follow?
Yep.
Okay, so we will be here. My prediction is in the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to see 300,000 foreclosures. So one more bit of data. I'm a data nerd. You'll get to know me. I'm a wonk. You see this 3 banks fail, right? The red line is bank failures. The green line is the amount of assets. So three bank failures, and that was a total of almost $400 billion, right? And that precipitated the Great Recession. If you look at this, we have 3 bank failures, and oh look, we have $550 billion worth of assets under control from those 3 banks. My prediction is based on as much science as I can find. I think we're heading into another crash. Not single family res. To be really, really, really clear, 85% of all single family res homes are protected with a 30-year mortgage fixed rate at 5% or less. So I don't think it's going to be as big a problem for single family res. We're not going to see 1 million foreclosures a year. I don't think that will happen, but I'm certain we will see at least 300. All right. So what do you think of when you say, when someone says foreclosure? Crappy house, run down, should be firebombed. That's, I think, what most people think of when they hear the word foreclosure. That's a foreclosure. That's a foreclosure. That's a foreclosure, right? Nice houses, all of them nice, decent neighborhoods. This isn't some walk-away scenario. The people who are in default generally love their homes and take good care of them. They just have a major problem that they can't seem to get around. So this is not my house. I want to be really, really clear. I don't have any pictures of my old home, but this is a floating home. Let's say it's on the Columbia River in Portland. And like I lived in paradise. I would go swimming, kayaking. I worked at Nordstrom. My ex-wife worked at Home Depot. We didn't have kids. We had a very comfortable life. She was mid-level at Home Depot. I was mid-level management at Nordstrom. And I had a really slack life. I bought my first house when I was 19, right? That's really important part of this story. That it allowed me to have a very comfortable life in my late 20s, early 30s. So I was pretty active. I went swimming. I went sailing all the time. I had a pretty decent 401k. My ex-wife had $16,000 in Home Depot stock when you could buy it at $30 a share. Just as a side note, Home Depot stock is $300 a share now. So we were doing okay. Then I got sick. I ended up with a golf ball sized brain tumor. I had a team of 13 doctors. I had a really hard time. I was 93% fatality expectation. I went to 3 different hospitals, one here in OHSU here in Oregon. They wouldn't operate. I went up to Wazoo or U of W Medical Center. They wouldn't take care of me. I finally ended up at UCSF down in San Francisco, and all 3 of those are teaching hospitals. If you ever get sick, go to a teaching hospital. They're the best medical facilities anywhere. Teaching hospitals. If you ever get really, really sick, go to a teaching hospital. But UCSF, best brain center on the West Coast. Ended up golf ball sized brain tumor. 18 months later, I finally started walking again. I Yeah, it was a really, really, really bad moment for me. So this happened. I got diagnosed in April of 2001. By September, I was homeless. I was couch surfing, and my house. I went from, at the time, my house was worth about $250,000. I only owed about 175, 150,000. The bank basically stole $75,000 of my hard-earned money. That's how I see it. Um, I did the work, I did the repairs, I put the down payment, and the bank basically robbed me of $75,000. It was bad enough that I was dying, but you got to take my house too. Like there was just,
Bad blood.
it was bad blood. Yeah, Donna, you get that. Yeah, it was a bad moment. So I was a wreck. I was in pretty hard mental state from all this. And when you've got it, so in my situation, I was not allowed to walk more than 500 feet. So that means I basically read for 10 hours a day. I was hopped up on morphine and a whole bunch of other wonderful drugs. But I was able to read, and I was going through this foreclosure, and the bank was stealing my house, and I was really pissed off, and I couldn't file bankruptcy, and a whole bunch of other crap was going on. And all I could do was figure out, okay, what the hell do I do, and how do I save my house? Right? Um, my life, I was kind of ambivalent about my life, but I didn't want that. I didn't want the bank to steal my house. And I know that seems kind of this weird dichotomy, but that's really what it was. I was pissed off. I was really just rage filled with the bank stealing my house. So, being the entrepreneur that I've been my whole life, I figured out, okay, what do I do about that? And I created this kind of 4 pillars program, compassionate capitalism. And it really starts out, oh, let me go back. So because of what I did and because of how I did it, I built this $56 million portfolio and ended up on New York Times, Wall Street Journal, CNBC, NPR, Marketplace Money. Like I was kind of the golden child for foreclosure bailout. Nobody else had ever done it before, and I was kind of picked up in the news circuits for a while. It was pretty weird, actually. I tend to be more of a homebody, just a casual person. To be interviewed by these media organizations was pretty weird for me. But the how it came about, right? I came up with this 4 pillars, and you should write this down if this is of interest. Stay in the home, retain most of your equity, rebuild your financial security, and lower your monthly payments. That is the essence of compassionate capitalism. This idea that you can help somebody who's in foreclosure stay in their house, right? Because that's the real key. These people are in arguably some of the worst tragedies a person can go through, and having their own security, they may not own the house anymore. We'll talk about how we do this, but staying in the home and not having to move through whatever tragedy is an enormous relief to people. Then
I think you said a lot of them have medical issues too, right?
A lot of them, a dramatic amount. Welcome to healthcare in America. You get cancer, it costs you your house. Yeah, a lot of them have medical issues, and most of those medical issues can be resolved, right? They're not permanent. And that's what I want to stress is most people go through foreclosure because of a speed bump, not because they're ne'er-do-well delinquent. Something happens outside their normal life, and if they get hurt. They get hurt on the job, or one of my favorite clients had a really, really awful pregnancy and it miscarried, and they were distraught, right? Most situations are generally a medical issue, not because they're like the kid I'm going to tell you about in a little bit. His parents both just died, right? That happened. He called us on Friday. I mean, how do you manage life when your parents just pass away? Both parents, mom and dad, both passed away in the last year. He's 24 years old. So this other piece, retain most of the equity. I was asked the other day when I was telling a friend of mine about this, is this a charity? No, in fact, it's very profitable. It's not a charity, and I'll show you the math in a minute, but the idea of being able to help someone who's at this horrible spot in their life retain their equity, right? Rebuild financial security. We will, in many cases, lower their monthly payments. Not all, because that's hard to do sometimes, but we will, as much as we can, lower their monthly payments, because you're making the profit on the front end of the transaction. You're able to kind of compensate, right? Who cares if you're going $100 negative a month if you walk into a deal with $75,000 of profit in the beginning? So it's a pretty safe transaction. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Questions? I'm going a lot faster than I expected. I thought I'd get more questions, so I'm going through my slides faster.
Well, that's okay. Well, so you'll give us an example. So how do you, I mean, are you going to talk about how you actually find the deals? Like, is that coming up? Okay, so we'll wait a little bit to ask more.
So that's going to be in the marketing. That's actually almost to the end, but I'll show you.
Okay.
All right. So this is we're going to call this kid Fred.
Fred Flintstone. All right.
He called us literally Friday. What's today? Today is Wednesday, so 4 days ago, 5 days ago, whatever. And this is his exact situation, right? Mom and dad passed. He's overwhelmed. He doesn't have a job, which means he's not going to get a loan anywhere. It doesn't matter how good the LTV is. Without a job, no bank's going to touch him. So he's been able to save some money, $9,000 in arrears, which is really easy, right? Most people are $15,000 to $25,000 in arrears. 9,000 is great.
221,308.
Yep. And this is the value, right? Almost 400,000. So there's 150,000 in equity in this transaction, just off the bat. So two options that we do, two ways that we can look at this. 50-50 split, right? The foreclosed owner, and we always call them clients, right? I don't call them tenants. I hate that landlord tenant crap. I think that's 1500s medieval terminology. So these are our clients. The investor gets half, the client gets half, right? 50-50 split. We settle on the price of $303 to repurchase the house, right? And so that's, if you go back to the other slide, that's 376 minus 72. That's how you get this 303 number. Pretty straightforward. We all know about the 1% rule for rents. So we tell the client your rent is going to be somewhere close to $3,000 a month. Clients always push back, oh no, I can't afford that. So we do a rent subsidy, right? Well, what can you afford? If we did $2,300 a month, would you be comfortable with that? Right. And I'm always clarifying, I'm asking, is this a solution that will work for you? Mr. and Mrs. Client, Fred, is this going to work, right? And then we show them $800 a month savings from rent subsidy. When you partner with us, we're gonna manage the transaction. We charge $7,500 on the transaction and 17% of the equity. So in a worst case scenario, you make 50 grand. But because I've done this about 300 times, I'm really, really good at helping the client get back on their feet and manage the process. You can do it without us, right? I'm not selling a course, I'm not selling some system. But if you choose to partner with us, I think we can make your life easier.
So how do you manage the rent subsidy then? Like, so if you get a $72,000 profit, are you taking that subsidy from the profit, the $759?
It depends. You can in this example, let me go back a slide. In this example, you'd get let's say if you did this deal, you could walk out of escrow with 70 grand. Right? I'd get a loan for 303. You'd walk out of escrow with $70,000 in your pocket, and that would allow you to take a rent subsidy if you had to.
And for what duration?
Generally 2 years. So I do this for 2 years. I give them 2 years to get back on their feet financially.
Okay.
And they enjoy the upside appreciation, right? This for 8.6% is the appreciation in San Antonio. So they get $67,000 of future appreciation, right? So that goes back to helping them retain most of their equity, right? So they save 73,000 in equity. They get almost 70,000 in future equity plus the rent subsidy. They're actually coming out ahead. They started with 145,000 of equity. They're going to come out ahead with these 3 levers. They're going to come out ahead almost $13,000.
Question I have for you. Can you go back to where you were showing the subsidy?
Sure.
Okay, now, so you're actually renting them the property for the 2276, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So you're giving them a credit of 759. Now is that like they have to pay you that back when they because I noticed the 2 slides forward you had the rent subsidy. Was that a total of the 759 times?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
18.
So they
Times
basically
24?
Yep.
now do they basically owe you that money?
No. You
That's-
in our
It's
example,
subtracted from your profit, right?
you're not subtracting anything. So normally the 1% rule says if this is a $300,000 house, you're going to charge $3,000 a month.
Mhm.
Right? That makes sense?
Okay, yes. Mhm.
Okay. And my alarm is going off. Hang tight for half a second. My phone is across the room. I'm sorry.
Not a problem.
Hi,
Sorry.
Donna. This is Dave. Just checking if you can hear me. I'm having a little video trouble. I have cameras on, but it just shows me a gray screen. So,
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
yep.
I can. Sorry, I had some technical problems. I don't know why my phone went off.
Okay.
So I thought that was purely awkward.
Hold on, Dave, do you have a question?
No, I think I'm good in following this. I just some of the stuff on at all the going up and whatnot. Assume the 8.6% that shows some of the stuff. The house. I'd like to ask the question. What happens if the market goes down? Who's left holding here? What's the value of the transaction in that case?
So in my experience, the houses don't go down in value. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, Portland, Oregon, to be specific, Seattle, Washington. Never had a down market. Even in 2008, we were pretty solid. So I don't, I mean, and to answer your question further, remember this house is 376. So you'd have to lose 40% of the
Yeah.
value before you're actually at risk.
Dave's in the Phoenix market.
Oh,
We've seen it.
And he had
That
fun in
happened.
2008. Not.
Yeah, that did happen in Phoenix. So, but yeah, you'd have 40% loss. Like the value of the property would have to plummet 40% in
Yeah.
2 years, which is
I've got it.
pretty.
And then, so it's like, we would be taking over the house. We're buying the house, we're renting it back to these people. So how does the person that we're helping out eventually get it back and take advantage of that equity on it? How do we get back to them owning the house down the road 2, 3, 4 years? Are you getting to that?
Yeah, so you're showing that person, so ideally, you're showing their mortgage broker, look, this person's been buying the house at $2,300 a month. A couple of different ways you could do it. Because the house is worth $450,000 now, there and the strike price is 303, they could easily get a loan, even with a foreclosure on their record at 67% LTV, they could easily get a new loan.
Okay.
Option one. Option two, and if I were, this is what I would do. I would sell it to them on a land contract. Right? So all of a
What was that last part? You'd sell it to them on a what?
on a land sale contract,
Okay.
because then you're operating as the bank. They own the house, you become the lender to them. After 2 years, you've built a relationship. You can either trust them, like assuming that you've built that relationship, you can trust them to make their payments again. So
If not, you get the property back, just like a bank.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I always advocate doing a land sale contract, because the delta between the 230 that you paid for the house and the 303 at an 8.5% or 8% mortgage is pretty good. It's another $500 a month.
And then kind of the selling pitch to the current owner who's in trouble is, look, you're either going to lose all your equity or you can lose some of it. And if you can hang on for a couple of years and limp by, you can get it back plus.
Exactly. My
Yeah.
my answer is half a sandwich is better than no sandwich.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So they're buying it back at the future repurchase price, which is less than, let's say, if there's appreciation, it would be less than the.
Yeah. So the home value is 376 currently, and in 2 years, the home value is 443.
Okay.
So they're capturing all that up for that equity. They're going to enjoy that piece of it. Yeah, it really is a pretty compassionate bit of math to help people who are struggling get back on their feet.
But what do they have to buy it back at? So they've just been renting, they're free and clear of the house. They have to buy it back at 443, or they buy it back at some spread between the original and the rents and all that.
303, this number
Okay.
right here. Yeah, you decide what the repurchase price is the day you sign the contract.
Gotcha. All that's up front. Okay.
Yep. And I'll show you the spreadsheet all on one piece. I'm trying to break it down bit by
Yeah.
bit here, but I'll show you the spreadsheet.
So going back to Ken's question about the rent subsidy, if I take 2276 and multiply it by 24, which is 2 years, I get 54,624. So how did you get the 18,000 of the oh, sorry, I think I took the wrong number.
24 times
579.
759.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
I picked the wrong number. Okay,
Okay.
so where does that 18,000 rent subsidy? So if I'm the investor, Josh Washington has joined.
Yep.
If I'm the investor and I get 72,000, I'm subtracting the 18,216 from my profit, and that's what we're giving to the rent subsidy.
You're not subtracting anything. This mortgage, right? Because remember, you're getting a mortgage for substantially less. You're getting a mortgage for only 230 grand.
Okay.
At a 6.5% interest rate, that's 1557. Right? Let me go down a little bit,
Okay.
throw some more
Yeah.
math. So here's your rent, right? That's based on the $2,300.
Okay.
Here's your mortgage based on 1557, based on a $230,000 payoff. Right?
Mhm.
This is the money you would receive if the client does not succeed. Right? I want to be really, really clear. 15% of our clients, we did 300-ish of these transactions, and about 50 of them actually succeeded. So you can count on 80 to 90% of the transactions you do will end up failing. And I say that with a lump in my throat because I really, truly want them to succeed. But many, many, many times, my own case included, right? I would not have qualified for the program that I built because I just wasn't, I was sick too long and there was no path to get me better.
Okay.
So most clients will end up failing. And so while it's compassionate capital, understand that in most cases, they won't be able to buy the house back. And so I kind of broke this last slide down to show you what would end up happening if they didn't succeed.
Okay.
That makes
And then
sense?
one thing on here, John, I'm seeing the compassionate fund, the 7,500. Where's the 17% show up?
In this case, well, I did this
Oh,
based
it's
on,
down below.
yeah,
Okay.
yep. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Just-
Yeah, it's and this is really your cash on cash, right? You've only initially put in $9,000 to stop the foreclosure. I'm assuming you would refund that once you get a new mortgage, but in some cases they don't. So it's a pretty amazing cash on cash return. And here's the other part of it. If you like doing sub-2 deals, subject to the existing mortgage, it's a great way to collect those properties as well. Because sometimes people just want to walk away from their transactions, walk away from their properties. So it's just a really, really good marketing system. And it's really about letters. I know it sounds as simple. Some people call them blue letters. Some people call them yellow letters. It's just a letter. It's a series of 4 letters that I write to the clients over a period of 4 months, or I'm sorry, 4 weeks. It's not complex. It's a, hi, my name's John. I had a golf ball sized brain tumor. I've been through foreclosure. I know what it feels like. I want to help you. Call me. And it's as simple as that. I know everybody's waiting for like the big drum roll, but it is as simple as that. I'm not selling a course. I'm not selling a system. I'm not like holding anything back. This is as simple as it gets. I've just got 4 letters that I send out to my clients, and it works.
How are
Specifically,
you finding the clients, John? They coming to you, or you just word of mouth? How are you hearing about the clients?
so do you know what a notice of default list is?
The English makes sense, but I don't think I've actually put my hands or eyes on one.
Got it. Go to any title company. Chicago Title is great. And ask them for a notice of default list, NOD list. And they're gonna, you said you're in Phoenix?
Arizona, yeah. Yep. Phoenix
Arizona.
area.
So Arizona doesn't have as many foreclosures. They will, but not yet. I think I want to say less than 1,500 in Phoenix in the last quarter. It's not many. Phoenix is
Okay.
really a strong market. But go to your title company, ask for a notice of default list, and they're going to give you an Excel spreadsheet that will give name, address, phone number, how much is owed, how much are the arrears, how much is on the primary mortgage, how much is on the secondary mortgage. It's a comprehensive list. And it's as simple as writing them a letter and saying, I have a solution for you.
But I mean, not everyone can use your story, but interestingly enough, Ken can use your story. He had a
Everybody,
brain tumor. He
Yeah.
had a foreclosure. And he can just change the name.
nope. Everybody has a problem. I want to be really, really clear. My problem, Ken's problem, everybody has a problem. Nobody goes through life with a perfect, flawless, happy-go-lucky, everything works out perfectly life. That just doesn't happen. Everybody's got I refer to it as a Job story, right? Everybody's got something in their life that was pretty awful. And what I'm trying to get you to do is connect on a human level, right? These are real people that have real tragedy. And if you can connect with them, if you can go with that compassionate perspective, they will open their doors. They will call you above. They're getting 10,000 letters from other investors. What sets us apart is the people we are. Does that resonate?
Yes.
Yes, you're actually truly trying to help them. Yes.
Truly trying to help
Yes.
them. I mean, I hate saying this, but if I'm gonna cuss for a second. If you're an asshole, this will still work. Unfortunately, it can be easily weaponized and manipulated, but that is
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I genuinely, truly, because my parents lost our home when I was 16. I lost my home when I was 33. It has been a problem in my life from my earliest childhood, and I am really trying to change the shape of foreclosure. I'm really, really trying to help people.
I don't think I ever told you, but my father had a business that went into foreclosure too, or bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So
Everybody has a story where the finances just didn't work. Everybody's got an uncle whose business failed, or father, right? Everybody has that story. Everybody's got somebody. My mom is sick. My mom has breast cancer, right? Everybody has a compassionate story.
yes.
That's the essence of it. I guarantee you'll get more phone calls. So this is our math. I just want to be really kind of, I started this with my partner Rose, and I don't know if she's on this call. I haven't seen her.
I haven't seen her either.
Okay, so my business partner Rose and I started this up again. So I'm backing up. I did this for between 2001 and 2005 and helped about 300 families. We've just started in the last month and a half, 2 months again, right? This is when we started. We've spent a total of about $1,500, and that includes Texas state licensing, and not licensing, but business formation. And we've already got one client converted, right? I mean, this is our cash on cash. We spent $1,500 and we made $216,000.
Wow.
It's a pretty good system. If you're going to do this with us or whether you do this yourself, I cannot stress enough the importance of consistency. We send several hundred letters a week now. If you're going to do this model, it's a kind of an expensive model to start. You're looking at about, so we're at $1,500. I'm going to just say 2,000. but the returns are pretty outstanding. This is kind of where we've got right now, right? You guys are up in Passaic, that's Texas, San
County.
Diego, Josh, and then Portland. I'd like to have this purple map everywhere. I'd like to have people in Phoenix. I'd like to have people in more people in Texas, because there's definitely more need in that. But yeah, that's so Rose and we're not trying to make a profit center for the mailings. We just got a good system, and I've got a long track record of how to do it. I recommend partnering with us, but it's not something you have to do. We've got the systems in place, we've got the VAs in place, we've got the NODs access. So if you're up for it, we can partner. If you don't want to, totally good. Just don't weaponize this system. Be a good steward of our system, please. Yeah. Again,
So what if the houses don't appraise, like, I mean, I know the pictures you showed early on were nice houses, but not all of them necessarily will be. Or do you just not deal with those properties? Like, are you picking and choosing the properties that you want to work on? So
yeah.
if there's a
I mean,
significant amount of,
That one there is probably vacant.
yeah,
So there's nobody living there.
if it's this, probably don't want to do it, right? You get to choose. Rose and I are very prescriptive in we're doing nice houses in nice neighborhoods with nice people.
okay,
I would do this as a sub 2 and just take over the payments and maybe give the person a couple of $1,000s to leave, right? You're going to get this client as well.
okay,
But your goal is to get a nice one, right?
yeah.
Northwest. I just want to point out, that's a Seahawks flag there for any of our football fans. But yeah, you're gonna get this as well. So
Okay.
we're all real estate investors. We know what to do with this. This is pretty straightforward. But this is your target.
What percent would you say do you get these target properties versus the other?
Rose is because she lives in San Antonio. Can I stop sharing screen for a little bit?
Sure.
See people. Rose is very prescriptive about which neighborhood we're investing in.
Okay.
She knows San Antonio like the back of her hand. She's lived there for 20 years. Yeah, she and I are only picking up houses that we like.
Okay, so when you get the list from the title company, then you're going through and looking at the addresses and saying, okay, this is one I'd be interested in. This is
Yeah,
not.
she's what we call cleaning the list. Right.
Okay.
Now, is there a fee for getting the list from the title company?
Nope, they give it away for free. Chicago Title famously gives it all away for free. They, especially now, right? The single family res home buyer, that market has completely dried up, right? Nobody's moving. There's not enough inventory anywhere in the country. So most title companies are shifting their mindset back into the investor, making us investors happy. So
Okay.
yeah, they'll easily give you the list.
So is Chicago Title only for Chicago properties, or does it have
Nationally?
national?
Any big title company. I happen to use Chicago. I live in Portland. We're a long ways from Chicago.
Yeah.
But any of the big title companies.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, I like the system. It's a good system. It makes I can sleep at night. I don't have to be some monster asshole vulture capitalist. I can serve people, and that's important to me.
Yeah.
So jump in. I'm totally easy. Got questions? Do you want to see the whole spreadsheet kind of in the same kind of thing, or just
Yes, let's see the
toggle your
spreadsheet.
brain? Okay.
Let's see
Yeah,
the
that would be great.
spreadsheet.
Okay. Let's go back to this.
And so you're sending emails over the course of 4 weeks. So, you know, what percentage of your mailings actually click?
That was, so we've had, I'll go back to my slide real quick. Somehow I've lost my desktop. There it is. So we've had four call us. There, you see my screen again?
Yes.
Mhm.
So here are our numbers, $1,500 spent. We're basically spending $2.93 for a lead. We've had 4 phone calls, 4 people call us directly. So that we're breaking down into about $400 per phone call. And then we've had 1 conversion. So our conversion rate is 1 to 4. And our cash on cash is monstrous.
So
And that's pretty common. Nothing
But you-
unusual about that.
I mean,
So you sent
This
out
is
to
more recent.
508 properties, correct?
Correct. Yep. I'm sorry, you, Donna, you were asking the question as well?
so did you do this before and now you're picking it up again? Because seems
Yeah,
pretty new.
Between 2001 and 2005. After 2005, the foreclosure numbers plummeted because appreciation was just so good in 2005, 6, and 7 that there just weren't any foreclosures to look at.
Okay.
But
But then when
yeah.
there were a gazillion in 2008, you were preoccupied with your losses.
yeah,
Diagnosis.
2008 and 9, I was very busy with other things. Yeah, I had my own issues.
So
yeah.
back when the foreclosure market 2001 to 2005, can you just tell us a little bit about your experience with that?
I switched. I went from 2005 until 2008. I was doing fix and flips. I did several hundred fix and flips. And
Okay.
then I got into, and that's what killed me, was the 2008, March of 08, I ended up with Lehman Brothers as my lender on a 13-story apartment building, and that's what toppled my entire $77 million worth of properties. Was just
Yeah.
bad lender.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I know the emotional toll that must have taken on you.
Yep, it was.
Beyond crazy.
I mean, it literally cost me 15 years of my life. We have only just started the foreclosure work again because it goes back to that first slide of that first slide of like for 3 years we had a moratorium on defaults.
With COVID, right?
I'm trying to get my other, I'm having technical difficulties. I'm trying to get to my spreadsheet. Hang on just a second. I'm so sorry.
Take your time. It's fine.
Let's see. Let's go there. There it is. Zoom. I'm not a master at Zoom. There it is. All right. We got a spreadsheet now?
We
Yes.
have, Google Docs spreadsheet, looks like.
All right. So this is exactly what we went through, and it's all in just one smooth, fluid process. I just broke it down into bite-sized pieces.
Okay, so let's go slow. So we have the client name. So we know how you're finding the deals because you're using the title company, you're being selective. Now, what about putting the money up to, like, what do you have to do to put money up to secure the deal? You have to
Okay.
pay off the,
Yeah, so you're basically gonna do a statutory warranty deed, right? So the client's they're gonna call you and you're gonna do a warranty deed or a statutory warranty deed, whatever deed is appropriate in your state. And they're gonna sign that document. So all of a sudden, you own the house, right?
okay,
And once you have that document, you go to the county and record it. You don't even have to record it, but you probably should. Then you go write a check to the mortgage company for $9,000. That stops the mortgage or stops the foreclosure.
okay.
And then you just go get a new mortgage. And it sucks because this is a 3% loan. It's a dang shame that we have to obliterate that loan because this is a great sub 2 deal. Do not leave somebody in the house with a sub 2. Do not. Do you get that?
Yeah, they won't leave.
Well, no, what's worse is you could be sued as a lender and with usury laws. Right?
Repeat that again, please.
Okay. Do not do a subject to transaction, meaning taking the property subject to the existing mortgage. Do not do a sub 2 and leave the person in the house. If that person stays in the house, you must get a brand new mortgage, right? They have to go through that process of no longer owning the house.
So were you actually getting the mortgage or are they getting a new mortgage?
You're
You
getting,
as the investor are getting a brand new mortgage. I'm just
And-
pointing out that it's a shame to lose this
Yeah.
3% interest rate, but
Yeah.
the reality is you'll end up breaking a bunch of laws if you leave somebody in the house and take it subject to.
so let me ask you a question because, there's only so many properties you can have mortgages on in your name. You know about
Typically
that?
5 to 10, depending
So how
upon.
many of these can you actually do before you max out? And
This is why we're working with a bunch of investors. We're creating a safety net of people who have capital. Our goal eventually is just to buy them, right? If we could put together a $5 million, $10 million fund, and we could just write checks for this $230,000
okay,
and have a fund, a syndication, that's our ultimate goal.
gotcha.
Because the returns are amazing and it's easier. We save $5,000 to $10,000, $15,000 on every transaction if we just had a fund, if we had an investment.
Just for closing costs, you mean, right?
Correct. Yes, ma'am. You cannot leave the person in the house and take it sub 2. You've got to get a new mortgage. And so that $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 additional cost adds up if you've got 100 of these properties.
Okay, so when you get the new mortgage, I'm sorry, to pay off the first mortgage is 221,000. And what do you, I remember you said something about 303 because you're getting your money
That's
back.
if you're leaving the person still partnering with them, like you're trying to let them keep the house.
Yep.
You're splitting the equity with them. $145,000 divided by 2 is a 72,987.
Correct.
Okay, so, but are
So
you handing
going
them,
with that
you're not
really-
really handing them $49,000. You're
No,
just,
no. Let me go with that. So you were, I think that was Ken. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was me.
All right. So Ken just said, all right, you got this $145,000. Subtract, divide it by 2 and subtract this 72,000 from this 376.
okay,
And that's where you get 303. So that's where they get, that's where we say you're going to keep half, you're going to retain most of your equity, right? You just cut the equity in half and then let them enjoy the appreciation.
Okay. But that investor shared equity, we're not paying them cash, we're just leaving it in the house and they get that.
Correct. Now, if you wanted to, and this goes back to a conversation a few minutes ago, if you wanted, you could take these three numbers, 9,000 plus 221 plus 50, you could get a $280,000, $290,000 mortgage at that time, right? You own the house, that document, your statutory warranty deed, you own that house. So you can just get a cash out refi and walk out of escrow with 50 grand.
Okay.
Right. And then in that case, it would be 50 grand to the investor, and because we're partners, it'd be 24 for us. But you could walk out of every transaction with a cash out refi. As long as you're not going over this 303, you're fine.
Okay, so as an investor, you have some flexibility in how much you refi for, as long
Correct.
as,
Now, bear in mind, I don't know what the mortgage is on 303, but let's say it's a $2,500 mortgage. You're making the agreement with them that 2,300 was within their budget. So you might end up, in this example, $200 negative cash flow. But
Okay.
because you walked out of escrow with 50 grand, that shouldn't be an issue.
right, because 200 times 24,
Yeah, 4,800 bucks.
yes, 4,800 bucks would come out of that.
Yeah.
And you get to keep the rest.
So I always recommend taking in your very first transaction. I want to be really, really clear. I always recommend, excuse me, taking a cash out refi, because these are volatile transactions. Let's say Fred, in this case, Fred decides he wants to leave in a year, right? You're going to end up with this mortgage. At some point, you're going to have to pay the mortgage that he is no longer in the house. So I would always recommend creating a reserves account that's pretty hefty, right?
Okay.
$25,000, a fairly decent reserves account, because we know we've done this so many times, 300, 250 times, that we know with certainty that only about 15% of these people actually keep the house, which means 85% of the time you're going to have a house empty at some point in the next 2 years. So
And then you'd have to sell it or rent it.
no, you could absolutely rent it again. You own the house. You do whatever you want with it.
Right. I mean, if you want to be a landlord, you can rent it, otherwise you can sell it.
Yep. And I would definitely have some reserves for basic fix and flip repairs kind of stuff, make it nicer and sellable. But in the worst case scenario, right? This house is worth $443,000 and you paid $223,000 for it. So
Yeah. And then
if
you
you
put up the subsidy for at least a year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, but it's a when it's thought out and carefully managed, it's a very safe transaction.
Yeah. So what happens if they don't pay?
You evict them.
Okay.
This young man, right? Where am I? This young man does not have a job. So my conversation with Rose is we give him 6 months. If he can pay $1,400 a month for 6 months, right? He's got some in reserves now. I'm assuming he can go get a job at McDonald's to offset some of those costs. So between his reserves, and I always ask this question, because if they haven't had $9,000 to pay the mortgage, then they should be able to stockpile some money. Not all of it, but some. It's a really good indicator for me for what they're going to be like as clients. So between a job at McDonald's and the $6,300 in reserve, this person should be able to afford about $1,400 a month while they go get a real job.
Yeah.
Right? So we're willing to carry a really low subsidy rent payment and a really high subsidy, that's what I meant to say, for 6 months. But if he can't get a job, if he can't come up to that $2,300 a month, then he has to move. Right? We're still, it's compassionate capital, right? We're still capitalists. We're not, this is not a charity.
It's not the government run organization.
Yeah.
Capital with an O for the government.
No.
You're trying to help them. They got to help themselves too, you know?
Exactly. It has to
Yeah.
be mutually beneficial.
Yes, absolutely. Nothing's for free.
Yep. Yeah. So if he doesn't pay in that 6 months, if he can't make the $1,400 a month for 6 months, if he can't make that $2,300, there's no scenario where he's going to be able to keep this house.
Yeah.
And we did our best. Like, we can look each other in the mirror and we can know that we tried.
So what are your contracts like then? I mean, they clearly spell out if they don't pay, they go, right?
It's a standard Texas state rental contract, standard BOMA rental contract. Nothing unusual. In this particular case, it talks about the 1,400 and the step up to 2,200, but yeah, there's nothing. There's a secondary document that is the option to purchase, right? Second, you don't want to marry your rental document with your purchase document, because that gets you to look like a lender. Keep your repurchase price document, lease option, separate from your rental document.
Okay, so you're doing the purchase document first, and then once you have that statutory warranty deed filed, then you do the rent.
Correct.
And so, okay, so for finding the deals, you use title company and mailings. And then for the risk capital, you need some kind of reserve, because you need to potentially pay the amount in arrears, and just in case they don't pay.
Correct.
So
Yeah,
in terms of
85% of the time happens.
yes.
managing the assets, you don't really have to manage anything unless they default.
So I would counter, I think there's a fair amount of management. These people are definitely needy. When we've got a client, I'm talking to them at least twice a month, like personal conversations.
Twice a day? Did you say twice a day?
Twice a month. Twice a month.
Twice a month. No, I was kidding.
Yeah, no, I have had that situation. I've been on the phone with people 3 and 4 times a week for months. I mean, they're literally at the lowest point that they can be at personally, and they're stopping, right? I mean, my husband just died. I've got Meniere's. I've got whatever the issue is. They're sobbing, and they just want someone to talk to. And I mean, it is really, it's heart-wrenching, but it feels good to be able to help. And even in the situations where they walk away, they know we did everything we could to help them because we built that relationship. And they don't trash the house. They almost never trash the house. Really, I can only think of, I'm trying to think. I cannot think of a single time where somebody trashed the house. I mean, they all know that we tried to help them. I mean, that's where like the $7,500 and then part of the equity, that is, we are earning that, I can guarantee. Because I will be on the phone with them routinely. Yeah. Yeah. Because
So
that's,
if we're part of the program, we're paying you a portion. You said 17%, right? Is that what you said?
yep. So you would keep 34% of the equity, we would get 17, and then we are going to charge $7,500 up front at closing when you get a new loan, just so we can kind of manage the operational side of things.
So what will you actually do for that? I'm just trying to be clear. What is your
Be on the phone with the client almost daily for a while. And I mean, I say that facetiously, but it really is true. We're going to be on the phone a lot with them. The goal, I mean, so remember, it goes back to the 4 pillars, helping them rebuild their financial security, right? That takes a lot of time and effort, right?
Okay.
We're going to help them get a budget. We're going to help them manage a budget. We're going to help them stay on a budget, right? That is a fairly difficult task.
Yes.
So yeah, I think we definitely earn it. And frankly, most investors don't want to do that.
Well, that's part of your compassionate deal then.
I genuinely like building relationship with these people, because I get it.
Been there, done that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, Donna, Ken, this is why I'm having a conversation with you two, because I know your story and I know what you went through. Like, I don't tell this story to many people. This is not, I'm doing a $65 million condo conversion, right? This is a small deal for me. This is not something I usually do. I've been working on a 10-story office conversion for months now. I typically do larger transactions now, but I'm seeing this tidal wave about to hit, and I know I can help. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it's a passion project for you too. So, I mean, there is money to be made, but it's home.
yeah. Well, and you guys specifically, had you and I not had that heart-to-heart conversation, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
No.
I'm really, really clear about like who I want to partner with.
Yeah.
Because it can be weaponized. It can be manipulated very easily. And I've seen people do it, and I've seen that they have terrible results with it. Yeah, so it is because of you and Ken's story that I'm on this call right now.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
I like your compassion. I think that really stands out.
Thank you. So let me see, Glenn, do you have any questions?
Hey, no, this was a great, thanks for inviting me tonight. It's kind of serendipitous. I don't know how I found my way here, but I'm happy I did.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind putting in the chat your email, then I can capture it to keep you informed of future events.
Sure. And John, I'd like to have a private conversation with you if that's possible.
Yeah, I'd love it.
You can
Sean,
put your...
I was gonna here, I can can I just tell you my email stuff? John,
I'll put it in the
Jan.
chat.
Oh, yeah, great. Let's do that.
John at
At Green
Green Cottages.
Cottage Homes.com.
Okay, I got that. Thanks.
Let me just
And
double. Homes.com. Perfect. Yeah. Yep. Can you drop yours in real quick?
absolutely. Just a moment.
And you're in Arizona.
No, that
I'm
was
in-
David.
Oh, okay. Where are you, Glenn?
I'm in Nevada, Las Vegas.
Oh, okay. All right. Vegas GG. All right. I'm gonna take a screenshot.
My location and my initials. Try to make it as simple as possible.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad this resonated with you. I really appreciate it. You've asked some really, really good questions. How long have you been doing real estate investing?
Is that to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, not extremely long. I just kind of got into it with buying rental properties and fixing them up and renting them and holding them.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to break into multifamily, sort of like where you came from, and want to get into that. But this is one of the teams I'm on. I'm on another team here locally, and on another one, and another one. So yeah, I'm networking with different people, but yeah, we can talk all about that. But I love your program. I love how it helps people, and that's really good stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's been, I'm kind of flummoxed by it because I would not have had Rose is my business partner. Had Rose not heard me on a podcast, this would not exist right now. I was telling my story about my story, and her ears perked up, and like she resonated with this whole foreclosure bailout thing, and she contacted me from a podcast like this. So I'm really glad my message lands on the right people's ears. It's kind of cool that way.
That is cool.
Yeah. I hope to meet you, Glenn. Yeah. Vegas is a very, very good market right now.
Yeah, I've lived in a couple of places across the country on my short time on this earth, but this is it's a crazy, unique place. It's just different. That's all I can say about the place. But there's all kind of development going on here. But I think this is probably one of the markets. When the economy goes into a recession or has a downturn, which we're eventually going to get there sooner or later, this is one of the markets that gets hit the hardest because it's based on tourism and all that stuff. So yeah, this could be a good market coming up.
Disposable income. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Vegas and Phoenix, both. The other gentleman from Phoenix, both of your markets went way up and then just way down. Yeah.
The interesting thing about Las Vegas right now, though, is there's so many teams, sports teams, and like attractions moving in there. I think Universal's building a 365 Halloween experience. They're trying to talk Disney in. There's a couple of sports teams that are moving in. So I'm wondering, if with the sports teams moving in, there's probably more housing that's going to be, either rented or sold there. But
yeah,
the sports team stuff it's interesting. It's this city has always wanted one, and the main reason why it never happened before was because the sports franchise owners themselves, like the NFL owners, the city was looked on as taboo because they didn't want their brand name image, which is worth billions of dollars, to be in any way associated with a gambling city, and they didn't want it tarnished. And it's changed within the last couple of years. Now everybody wants to come here, but the city's always had a problem with diversification of the economy and the industry. Obviously, the casinos are the biggest driving factor here, but they're always trying to get diversification of the economy in here, trying to bring other industries in, technology. Tony Hsieh is,
Yeah,
redeveloping the downtown area to try to, well, he was when he was alive, redeveloping. There's a lot of regentrification going on over there, and et cetera, et cetera. But that's in any city. I mean, it's the same story in any city for the most part.
yeah.
Right.
I wonder if they didn't mind
Interestingly,
their brand change when they allowed the sports betting, like out in the open, because for years it was all behind closed doors. Now it's all legal and up on the table. Everybody's betting on the sports and all that, and now it's a big moneymaker. So in theory, they're all gamblers, and there's gambling on the sports now too. So maybe they don't mind it as much. So maybe that's why they had a change of heart, you know. So
yeah.
Good point.
Interestingly enough, Glenn, we just invested in a place near Fremont Experience.
Yes.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, that's an up and coming area. So yeah, I think you should do well there.
Thank you. Fingers crossed. We never know. All right. I want to be very respectful of everyone's time. I know we went long already. So thank you so much, John. And
appreciate it, Sam.
yes,
I really enjoyed it. This was great. I didn't know what to expect, so I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
that's cool. Yeah, Dave had to drop, but he works with me. Nice guy.
Well, all right.
Anyway.
Well, connect with me, Glenn. You got my email, john@greencottagehomes.com. I'm gonna email you in just a few minutes after I get off the call.
Yeah, I will be in touch, most definitely. It's great
Awesome.
meeting you, John.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, guys. This was a lot of fun.
All
Thank
right,
you.
and we'll be in touch, John. I know we have a meeting. I just want to confirm, Rose asked to change the date to 8/8. Does that work? Does that work for you?
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I saw the back and forth, but I haven't checked my calendar, but I'm sure it's fine. Rose
All right.
has access to my calendar.
All right,
Okay.
sounds good.
All right.
Great.
Bye, y'all.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thanks
Have
so
a good
much.
evening. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.